Good morning, students, and welcome to the class of English. Today, I, Pankaj Singh Thapa, your English teacher, is in front of you to discuss with you a new chapter, that is The Rattrap by Selma Lagerlof. So, children, I think you'll be aware about the rat trap. What is a rat trap? It's a piece of instrument. Uh, it's a piece of instrument which is used to trap rats. All right. So rat trap is a piece of instrument to trap rats. Now, children, metaphorically, the life. Okay. Metaphorically, the life has been compared to a rat trap in this chapter. All right. So there's a comparison between life as rat trap, and as it is direct comparison, so it is metaphor, the figure of speech. All right. Now, children, Selma Lagerlof, if we discuss, was a Swedish writer, and his stories have been translated by many languages, and a universal theme runs through all of them. That is a belief that essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. So, whatever stories the Selma Lagerlof has written, one common theme is there, that is, with humanity and human qualities, we can awaken essential goodness. Right. Now, this story, the rat trap, is set amidst the minds of Sweden. So, this story is set up as in Sweden, and Sweden is rich in iron ore, which figure large in the history and legends of that country. The story is told somewhat in the manner of a fairy tale. The metaphor of the rat trap serves to highlight the human predicament. Material benefits are the traps that most human beings are prone to fall into. And the human beings do have a tendency to redeem themselves from dishonest ways, as does the peddler at the end of the story. All right. So, the protagonist of this chapter is a peddler or the rat trap seller. Children, in exams, don't confuse between, let me tell you once again, okay, and don't confuse between a peddler, okay, so peddler here means rat trap seller. All right. So peddler here means rat trap seller. This story is about a peddler or the rat trap seller who falls into a trap of dishonesty and then meets the different kind of situations and ultimately comes out as a hero. All right. So let's discuss this story. Once there was a man who went around selling small rat traps of wire. And he made them himself, but his business was not profitable. So he had to beg and steal a bit to keep himself alive. Sometimes this question is asked in the exam, children. Why rat trap seller used to steal? So the answer is to make his both ends meet or to earn his livelihood, because his business was not profitable. Two things we will write as first is that his business was not profitable, and secondly, to keep himself alive or to earn his livelihood, he used to steal. His clothes were in rags, his cheeks were sunken, and hunger could be noticed in his eyes. His life was sad and monotonous. He had no company. So he was alone in his life, Okay, nobody wanted to be his friend. One day he was struck by an idea that the whole world was nothing but a big rat trap. Okay, so there's again a metaphor here. The world, okay, so here this is a figure of speech, that is metaphor. Because the world has been compared to a rat trap. It set baits for people by offering riches and joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered cheese and pork. So, what idea this man had, that the entire world is a big rat trap? Because whatever the world offers, like enjoyment, merriment, all kind of materialistic things, shelter, food, heat, clothing, is exactly what the rat trap offers, that is cheese and pork. And once you get caught in the rat trap, means you are gone. So the bait is to tempt the rats so as they come near the rat trap and get inside it. Similarly, the human beings also get tempted just because of the riches, joys, shelter, and they get trapped into a rat trap. One dark evening, he was walking slowly with heavy steps when he saw a little grey cottage by the roadside. He knocked at the door to ask shelter for the night. The owner was an old man. He was a crofter. So, the old man was a crofter. This word is used for that old man. Alright, so he was a crofter and he had no wife or children, and he was happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. Children, one more thing I would like to explain over here, that the theme of loneliness, okay, the theme of loneliness runs throughout this story. And just due to loneliness, person, they do various kind of things. So that's why this crofter was also lonely. So to just move out of his loneliness, he was happy to get someone to talk. So when this peddler asked for shelter, so very eagerly the person offered shelter to the crofter and served him porridge for supper and gave him tobacco for his pipe. Then he took out his playing cards and played majolus with his guests till bedtime. Now the host had been a crofter at Ramjo Iron Works in his days of prosperity, and he had worked on the land. Now he was unable to do day labor as he was old, so he had a cow which supported him. He used to sell the cow milk and milk products in the market and used to earn his money. He informed the stranger here is the peddler or the rat trap seller, that last month he had received all the 30 kroner in payment, and the crofter showed his guests 3 wrinkled 10 kroner bills, which he had taken out of a leather pouch hanging on a nail in the window frame. So out of honesty or simplicity, the crofter informed the rat trap seller that, brother, I have got my payment for the milk I had sold. So it was there, and it is inside the pouch which is hanging on a nail in the window frame. The next day both men got up early. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man, that is the rat trap seller, did not want to stay in bed when his host had got up. So they left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with the rat traps said goodbye and thanked his host and went away. Half an hour later, the rat trap peddler returned. He broke a window pane, stuck in his hand, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He took out the money and thrust it into his pocket, and then he hung the leather pouch at the same place very carefully. After this, The rat trap seller was very happy with his smartness. But later on, after some time, then he realized that he dared not to continue on the public highway because he could be caught. So he took to the woods. Woods mean jungle. He got into a big and confusing forest. He kept on walking, and without coming to the end of the forest, he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest, and he thought that he had let himself be fooled by a bait and had been caught. So when the rat trap seller, to escape from any kind of police activity, he went into the forest. So when he was in the forest, he was not able to find a way back home. So he realized that he had been caught and befooled by a bait, and the whole forest seemed to him as an impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. It was late in December. Darkness increased, the danger as also his gloom and despair. He sank down on the ground as he was quite tired. He heard the sound of hammer strokes. He summoned all his strength, got up and staggered in the direction of the sound. So the rat trap seller, when he was in the forest, amidst the trees, dense forest, so he could not decide what to do. So he lied down, and when he put his ear on the ground, he heard some kind of the strokes of hammer. So he collected all his strength and moved towards the direction of the sound. He reached a forge where the master smith and his helper sat near the furnace, waiting for the pig iron to be ready to put on the anvil. There were many sounds. Big bellows groaned, burning coal cracked. The fire boy shoveled charcoal with great deal of clatter. The waterfall roared. A sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tiled roof. On account of all these noises, the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge until the stranger stood close up to the furnace. So, just because of these many sounds, burning of coal, bellows groaning, waterfall, okay, and swift wind was also there. So the blacksmith could not notice that a man had entered the place. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indefinitely at the intruder with a long beard, dirty rag, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling on his chest. The peddler asked for permission to stay. The master blacksmith nodded a haughty consent without saying a word. Just then the iron master who owned the Ramjo iron mill came to the forge on one of its nightly rounds of inspection. So the blacksmith who was there, he glanced at the intruder, stranger, who was not properly dressed. So the peddler asked permission to stay there. So the master blacksmith gave the consent, and it was a haughty consent. Haughty means proudly. Just then, the owner of the mill, that is the iron masters of the mill, okay, of that the name of the iron mill was Ramjo Iron Mill. He entered the forge for inspection. And when the iron master saw that a person in dirty torn cloth had moved to so close to the furnace that steam was rising from his wet rags, he walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully. Then he tore off his hat and had a very wide flexible brim to get a better view of his face. He called him Niels Olof and wondered how he looked. So iron master, when reached near the peddler, he saw the peddler was drenched, wet, and he was just near the furnace. And due to the heat of the furnace, the water was getting evaporated and it was visible. So the iron master went near the person and just tore off his hat, and just when he had a very clear view, he identified him as Niels Olof. Now, the man with the rat traps had never seen the iron master at Ramjo and did not even know what his name was. He thought that the ironmaster might perhaps throw his old acquaintance a couple to kroner. So he did not tell him that he was mistaken. Although the peddler had not seen the ironmaster anywhere, but he thought that maybe the ironmaster would give him some money. So he didn't reveal his identity or the real identity. The ironmaster observed that he should not have resigned from the regiment. Then he asked a stranger to come home with him. The tramp did not agree. He thought of the 30 kroner. Going up to the manor house would be like throwing himself into the lion's den. So the ironmaster invited the stranger or the Rattrap seller to his house because he misidentified him and he considered him as Captain Niels Olof. And Rattrap seller didn't reveal the reality because he thought that maybe ironmaster could give him some money. But when ironmaster invited him to his home, then Rattrap seller turned out to be a very fearful person, because then it was a kind of danger. He could be caught. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. He said that his wife Elizabeth was dead, his boys were abroad, and only his oldest daughter was with him. He invited the stranger to spend Christmas with him. The stranger said no thrice. The ironmaster told Zenstorm. Okay, children, remember this name. It may be asked in the exams. Zenstorm. Okay? It is the blacksmith. Alright? So what is the name of the blacksmith of Ramsau Iron Mill? Zenstorm. So the ironmaster asked 3 times, but the peddler refused. Although ironmaster has said to the peddler that don't worry about your dress, my wife is dead, my boys are abroad, I am living here with my oldest daughter, so you can come with me. Okay, but the stranger said no. The ironmaster told Zenstorm that the blacksmith that Captain Von Stale preferred to stay with him that night. He laughed to himself and went away. After that, the ironmaster left that place. Half an hour later, the sound of carriage wheels was heard outside the forge. The ironmaster's daughter came there, followed by a valet, carrying a big fur coat. Valet here means driver. So after half an hour, a carriage stopped in front of the forge, and the ironmaster's daughters just came down from the carriage. And then a valet was there who was carrying the fur coat of the man. Then the girl introduced herself as Edla Wilmansion. She noticed that the man was afraid, and she thought that either he had stolen something or else he had escaped from jail. So Edla Wilmansion was quite an intelligent girl, and actually she was the daughter of the ironmaster. She assumed that maybe this person is, has stolen something or he escaped from jail. Now, she, however, assured him that he would be allowed to leave them just as freely as he had come. She addressed him as captain and requested him to stay with them over Christmas Eve. So then what happened? The daughter of the ironmaster came there and asked the peddler that kindly come to our house and spend the Christmas Eve. She said that such in a friendly manner that Rattrap peddler agreed to go with him. The fur coat was thrown over his rags, and he followed the young lady to the carriage. On the way, the peddler thought that why he had taken that fellow's money. He was sitting in the trap and would never get out of it. So the Edla Wilmanson was such a sweet girl, and her way of expressing herself was so kind and benevolent that the Rattrap seller could not refuse. The next day was Christmas Eve. The ironmaster came into the dining room for breakfast. He thought of his old regimental comrade who had met so unexpectedly. He felt satisfied and talked of feeding him well and giving him some honorable job. So next day the ironmaster met the Rattrap seller, and he offered him some kind of job. Actually, it was Christmas Eve. His daughter remarked that Last night she did not notice anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. The ironmaster asked her to have patience and let him get clean and dressed up. Then she would see something different. The tramp manners would fall away from him with the tramp clothes. So the ironmaster said to his daughter that let the person clean himself. After that, he would be a gentleman, not a tramp. Just then the stranger entered in a good-looking suit of cloth, a white shirt with a starched collar and wool shoes. Although he was well groomed, the ironmaster did not seem pleased. And why he did not seem pleased? Because, children, he realized he had made a mistake last night. And now in broad daylight, it was impossible to mistake him for an old acquaintance. It means the ironmaster realized his mistake, that mistakenly he had brought some kind of danger to his house. Now, the stranger made no attempt to dissemble. He explained that it was not his fault and he had never pretended to be anything but a poor trader. He had requested the ironmaster to let him stay in the forge. He was ready to put on his rags and go away. Now, the stranger realized that if he will tell a lie, he would be caught. So he accepted the reality and he said that, sir, I have never said to you that I am so and so, like means Olaf. Okay, but I said that I am a poor trader. Actually, the peddler told truth, but it was half truth. He was a tramp, but he pretended to be a trader. Then he had requested the ironmaster to let him stay in the forge. He was ready to put on his rags and go away. He said that I will go, just kindly let me stay in the forge. The ironmaster thought that it was not honest on the part of the man and wanted to call the sheriff. So but ironmaster got angry. He said that why did this man tell a lie? So he said that I will call the sheriff. Sheriff means police. The tramp then told the ironmaster the whole world was nothing but a big rat trap. All the good things that were offered to him were nothing but cheese rinds and bits of pork, set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. The sheriff may lock him up for this. He warned the ironmaster that at the day and night come when he might want to get a big piece of pork and then he would get caught in the trap. Now the rat trap seller exploded when the ironmaster decided that he will hand him over to the police. He said that all world is a rat trap. He just started shouting that all world is a rat trap, and and he said to the ironmaster that one day it will happen like this, that the sheriff may lock him up, and he warned the ironmaster that a day might come when the ironmaster will also fall into such kind of situation. Now listening to this, the ironmaster began to laugh. He dropped the idea of informing the sheriff. However, he asked the tramp to leave and open the door. Just then his daughter entered and asked her father what he was doing. That morning she was quite happy. She wanted to make things for the rich quite home-like, so she spoke in favor of the vagabond. She wanted him to enjoy a day of peace with them, just one in the whole year. She knew that there was a mistake, but they should not chase away a human being whom they had asked to come there and promised Christmas cheer. The ironmaster hoped that she wouldn't have to regret that. Then suddenly Edla Wilmanson, the daughter of the ironmaster, entered there and she said that, Father, when we have invited a person, why to refuse that person? Although we have mistaken, but it's not his fault. So let him enjoy the Christmas. The young girl led the stranger up to table and asked him to sit and eat. The man did not say a word but held himself to the food. He looked at the girl and wondered why she had intervened for him. Christmas Eve passed at Ramzo just as it always had. The stranger did not cause any trouble because he did nothing but sleep. They woke him up that he could have him meals. So the stranger lived with the family just because of the daughter Edla Wilmanson, and he did nothing wrong there, but he only slept. They just woke him for the food. 2 hours later, he was around once again to eat the Christmas fish and porridge. After getting up from the table, he went around and said thank you and good night to everyone. The girl told him that the suit he wore was to be a Christmas present and he did not have to return it. The Edla Wilmanson told the peddler that the suit you are wearing, just take it as Christmas present, no need to return back. The man with the rat trap did not answer. He only stared at the young girl in limitless amazement. The next morning, the ironmaster and his daughter got up early and went to the Christmas service. It was Christmas, so they have to go to the church for prayers and for singing Christmas carols. They drove back at about 10 o'clock. The young girl sat and hung her head even more dejectedly than usual. At church, she had learned that an old crofter of the ironworks had been robbed by a man who went around selling rat traps. The girl considered the peddler as a trader because he said to the ironmaster that he's a trader. He did not reveal his real identity. But at the church, the girl learned that one crofter has been stolen. And then the girl realized that the person living with them is a thief. So when they returned, the ironmaster asked the valet about the stranger. The valet told him that the stranger had left. He had not taken anything with him at all, but he had left a package for Mrs. Williamson as a Christmas present. So when the father and the daughter returned back, they asked the valet, the driver, that about the stranger. So the valet informed them that, well, the stranger has left and he has not taken anything but left a package for Edla. On opening the package, she gave a little cry of joy. She found a small rat trap and in it lay 3 wrinkled 10 kroner notes, which she, now children, do you remember what it is? The rat trap was of the peddler and inside it he has kept 10 kroner notes. So the 10 kroner notes served as a bait for the rat trap seller and he stole it from the crofter. But just due to the humble nature of the Edla Williamson, the rat trap seller returned the money. And there was a letter also along with the package. And he did not want her to embarrass by a thief but act as a captain. He requested her to return the money to the old man on the roadside who had money pouch hanging on the window frame as a bait for the poor wanderers. The rat trap was a Christmas present from a rat who would have been caught in this world's rat trap if he had not been raised to the captain, because in that way he got power to clear himself. So now, you know, at the end, what happened? The man returned the money and he said that this money is from a rat who got trapped in the rat trap, but now he is behaving as a captain because Edla called him captain. So children, what do you realize from this story? That if you do nice treatment with anyone, definitely the enemy can also turn into a friend. Now children, here are some important questions, and these are extract based questions. So the extract is here, then we will discuss the question. But even so, the business was not especially profitable, so he had to resort to both begging and petty thievery to keep body and soul together. Even so, his clothes were in rags, his cheeks were sunken, and hunger gleamed in his eyes. Here the business refers to children. What was the business of the rat trap seller? Selling rat traps of wire. The character resorted to begging and thievery because, what is the answer? Because he was not able to get the full means. And the reason that they do not require any capital to start doing any business kind of, because it is also there the story that his business failed. So he thought that begging and thievery is a profitable business because there is no investment. So they do not require any capital. Capital here means investment. Alright. The character carried out here 3 sorts of work to earn money. Which? So answer will be which did not enable him to have even full meals and nice clothes. So all the 3 kind of jobs did not brought him any kind of good life. The character resorted to begging and thievery because his business was not profitable. So answer is business. Second extract, it had never existed for any other purpose than to set baits for people. It offered riches and joys, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as a rat trap offered cheese and pork. And as soon as anyone let himself be tempted to touch the bait, it closed in on him and then everything came to an end. Now the question is, the world had always existed to what the world sets bait for people. Okay, because the world is a bait. It offers riches, it offers food, it offers clothing, and a human being just falls into the rat trap. Riches and joy, shelter and food, and clothing are offered by the world to, would be the answer, trap the people. Yes. When people are tempted to the bait, then what happens? Their life becomes restless. Children, when you are running behind the money and you are a person or you're a machine making money, then what will happen? You will be restless all the time because every time you would think of earning money. Alright, so that's the answer. When you just get tempted, you become restless. The world offered riches and joys, shelter and food, etc. as baits for the people. Okay, next question, children. Instead of sour faces which ordinarily met him, the owner, who was an old man, no wife or child, was happy to get someone to talk to his loneliness. So the owner treated the peddler. Here the owner I'm talking about is who is the owner here? Crofter. Alright. So don't confuse. The owner here is Crofter. So what was the treatment got by the peddler? It was generous treatment. As usual, the people treated the peddler. How the people treated the peddler? Unfairly. He did not get a good treatment. The owner of the house was happy to meet the peddler as, what's the answer? Because the owner had no one to talk to him. The peddler received unexpected what? Hospitality from the owner, and owner here is again the crofter. But half an hour later, the trap peddler stood again before the door. He did not get in. However, he only went up the window, smelled the pain stuck in his hands, got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. He took the money and thrust it into his pocket. So after half an hour, the peddler returned to the door with a view to what? Stealing crofter's money. That's why the peddler returned. At this moment, the peddler broke the crofter's confidence, reposed on him, because the crofter had confidence on the peddler that as he had given the right treatment to him, that therefore it's quite obvious that he will also respond in the same, but it did not happen. His confidence was broken. The peddler did not try to get into the house, instead went up to the window because he already knew that the pouch with money was hung near the window. So what did the peddler took away? The peddler took away the money. So that's all, children, in this video, and hope you have understood this chapter, the rat trap. Okay, and as I have discussed some important MCQs also, this will help you out during your exams. Children, work hard for the board exams. We are not too far from the board exams. So this much, children. Thank you. Goodbye.